Good evening and welcome to The Early Set. The Early Set is a weekly talk show dedicated to the artists who make live jazz and more happen in New York City and beyond. I'm your host, vocalist and songwriter Gabrielle Stravelli. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. You can find out more about me on my website at gabriellestravelli.com. If you're joining us from Facebook, you are already on my music page, Gabrielle Stravelli Music. And while you're there, I hope you will give us a follow so we can keep in touch. You can see more of my music and know who is coming on our future episodes of The Early Set. And if you're joining us from YouTube, yay, thank you. Why don't you go ahead and click that little button that says subscribe. We'll be ever so grateful. On YouTube, if you're not on YouTube right now and you want to go check that out and subscribe, I'm also at Gabrielle Stravelli Music on YouTube, and you can see past episodes of The Early Set there. Also, every Sunday, I post a new video at 1 p.m. Eastern. Been posting a lot of content lately. This past Sunday, I released a brand new, fully produced music video for an original tune of mine called If Only Love Was Blind. And I am really thrilled with how it turned out. I hope you will check that out. I believe my producer, Julie, has a little clip of that. Julie, let's see a little bit of that new video right now, please.
I would go with you to the darkest night if you would soar with me in plain sight.
So that is the new video, If Only Love Was Blind. We shot that actually this past July with this very small but mighty socially distanced crew and an amazing female director, and I'm really happy with it. So boogie on over to Gabrielle Stravelli Music on YouTube. Check out that video and subscribe. I see we have friends joining us already. Joyce, Jillian, Tom, thank you for being here. My guest today will be pianist Michael Kanan. I'm so thrilled to have this most excellent human being on the show today. Before I welcome him, I'm going to give a shout out to a couple of things that I want to recommend. The first thing I want to shout out this week is the Eyal Vilner Big Band, led by Israeli saxophonist who you see in that picture, Eyal Vilner. So this band has been on New York City's jazz scene for a couple of years now. And I think they've got they had a steady gig at Dizzy's Club. I want to say Saturday nights. I could be wrong, but they would do gigs at Dizzy's and sort of like a swing dance party. People, there'd be a big dance floor that people would get down to their sweet sounds. They played Midsummer Night's Swing. They played Summer Stage, Birdland, really excellent venues. And when all the venues closed, they really missed making music together. So recently, the band got back together and started playing live, socially distanced concerts here in New York City in Washington Square Park. And they've been doing that every week on Sundays from 2:30 to 5:30 p.m., weather permitting, of course. My guest last week, Catherine Russell, is the one who told me about this because she happened upon them one Sunday and ended up sitting in and singing a couple of songs with them. And she said that people were dancing to them. So I think it's a great vibe, and it's a chance for you to see this amazing big band for free with amazing guests live in Washington Square Park. They do, of course, have a little tip jar. I hope you will show your appreciation. If you are not in New York and can't get to see them live, they also stream these concerts on Facebook. So you can still get in on the fun, and you can dance to them in your apartment. Hello, Marianne. I see that you're joining us. Welcome in. You can check out Eyal on his website, which is eyalvilner.com. There are links to his Facebook page and socials so that you can get a little more details on when the band is playing, how to watch them, and how to give them a little donation. So do check that out some Sunday. I think it's guaranteed to lift your spirits. The second thing I want to shout out is a couple of venues here in New York, a couple of restaurants that are not only hanging on, trying to survive this thing by serving food outside, since indoor dining is still not allowed in New York City, but they're going the extra mile and bringing back live music. And it really made me think about how the restaurant scene and the live music scene here in New York are very intertwined, because there are only so many clubs, and restaurants are a great way for musicians to have a regular gig. So God bless these owners who are not only trying to survive a pandemic, but who are also continuing to support live music. So the specific restaurants I want to give a shout out to in New York City, who are having live music again, are Arturo's Coal Oven Pizza in the Village, and the West Bank Cafe, which is on 42nd Street in Midtown in New York City. Now, Arturo's opened in 1957. It's one of the remaining real old New York places. If you live in New York and you haven't been there, you gotta go. You have to see this place. It is an experience. If you don't live here, but you're gonna come visit when we're able to travel again, you got to make a stop at Arturo's. And I know they've been having live music night since at least the 70s, if not a little bit before then. The West Bank Cafe has been at 42nd and 9th for 41 years. And for many, many years, they had a cabaret club downstairs. And a couple weeks ago, they moved their piano upstairs, and sound system. Julie, will you roll that graphic one more time with the picture? And if you guys will look at the West Bank, you can kind of see that they had seating outside already for the summertime. So people sit out there now, and then they open those windows that you saw in the picture, and the music is happening just inside the restaurant. So it's safe. They're maintaining distance. I myself have played there with tonight's guest. They've got great people playing, I believe, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So you can support these businesses and live music. Arturo's is so old school that they do not have a website, but they do have a Facebook page. You can find them on Facebook at arturos.oven. The West Bank does have a website, but their Facebook is has the most up-to-date info. So check them out at West Bank Cafe on Facebook. And if you have, I know there are other venues that are doing this. So if there are other venues in New York or other venues in your hometown that you want to give a shout out to, put them in the comments so that people know where to go and they can keep these restaurants, these great local institutions and live music in their cities alive. We are gratefully accepting donations this evening via Venmo and PayPal. You can send those. They come to me. I share them. We use these donations to pay for the platform, and we also donate to a charity each week. Sorry, Julie, I'll say that one more time. The Venmo is at Gabrielle Stravelli, and the PayPal is paypal.me/Gabrielle Stravelli. Why is that always a challenge? You'd think I'd get better at it every week. Nope. Tonight's donations are going to go to the Smalls Live Foundation. I am so happy to be supporting them this week, and our guest this week is like such a perfect fit for that. So the Smalls Live Foundation aims to subsidize the operation of two venues, Smalls and their sister venue, Mesro, while they are still required to pay rent but can't do any business. And I don't think anybody, you all know that rent in New York City is astronomical. They also fund recording projects, educational initiatives, and tours. And these clubs, Smalls and Mesro, are two of the finest, truly two of the very finest jazz clubs that we have in New York City. So we really want to help keep them afloat, and it's not easy. So I'm really thrilled to support the Smalls Live Foundation, and we hope that whatever you are able to share, you will share with us so that we can support them tonight. Since moving to New York City from Boston in 1981, Michael Kanan has established himself as one of the finest pianists on New York City's jazz scene. As a leader, he has performed in some of the very best clubs and concert halls in the US. He is a regular at Mesro. He's played at Smalls, Birdland, Carnegie Hall. He's been on Conan O'Brien's show and Letterman. He's fancy. And he has toured a lot overseas and he teaches overseas. He has also established himself as a particularly gifted player when working with vocalists. And he served as a pianist for the legendary jazz vocalist Jimmy Scott. And of course, one of today's most successful vocalists, Jane Monheit. I have had the great pleasure of working with Michael Kanan, and I love him dearly because he is a superb man, in addition to being a superb musician. And he's one of those beautiful instrumentalists who I feel when I work with him, I'm always learning something new from him. So without further ado, please help me welcome to the early set, Michael Kanan.
Yay.
Hi.
Hey, hey, Gabrielle. Yeah, what a
I'm
beautiful introduction. Thank you.
I only speak the truth.
Mwah.
Thank you. So
Thank you.
I'm going to start off. I was reading your bio and I read that one of your earlier jazz teachers was a man named Harvey Diamond.
Mm-hmm.
And that after you moved to New York, you studied with pianist Sal Mosca. And then I read that both Harvey and Sal were students of the great jazz pioneer, Lenny Tristano.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that is
That's
Lenny
right.
Tristano there.
Yeah, I was very much involved in Tristano's music and through both Harvey and Sal, received some of his teaching. And I was just hardcore into the Tristano scene for many years, and not so much anymore. Although I know it's still part of me somewhere in there. Every once in a while, I'll play a certain phrase or a line, and I'll think to myself, "Oh yeah, it's still there."
So can you talk a little bit more in depth about? And I don't, you don't have to go deep about like who Lenny was and what he did, but I think I'm curious to know how those early years, sort of studying in the Tristano school, how that shaped your playing. What does that mean?
Wow, that's a great question. Well, from Harvey, my first teacher, and I met him when I was 15 years old. I would say one of the first things that he taught me, and this I know came directly from Tristano, was that playing jazz didn't mean learning a style. It meant expressing your feelings. And expressing your feelings was something that Lenny always talked about in any interview, anything you find him discussing jazz. The word feeling always comes up. So that was a very early lesson for me, and I think that is something that has stayed with me. Like that, when I play, it's not about playing the perfect imitation of this legend or that legend, or being exactly in this style or that style. I want to, hopefully, I mean, for me, the goal is to express something human. And so that's one of the most important things that I got from that background. And also, again, from Harvey, I mean, I was 15 years old, and already I was learning about Louis Armstrong, Billie Holiday, Lester Young, Roy Eldridge, Bud Powell, Bird, and a handful of others, like real greats that Tristano always told his students to listen to. So I got a dose of those, these great people that it would have taken me years to get to them. So I'm very grateful for that as well.
Okay. Wow.
And also, as sorry, this is the last thing I'll say about
go on.
just that in my experience of that teaching, although Lenny was very, very much a dense harmonic player, the chords he played were very dark and large, 10-note chords, very, very big, powerful sounding chords. But I think that his music was melodically driven. And that's something that stayed with me I mean, to this day. In fact, has only gotten stronger.
Okay. These are some damn good lessons to have taken
Yeah,
away.
for sure.
Other than Lenny and those men who mentored you, who taught you, what other great, like of the greats, pianists and instrumentalists, would you say were influences on you, or
Okay,
particular favorites?
sure. Well, I'm going to start with Jimmy Rolls,
Mm.
who's anytime I mention Jimmy Rolls to somebody, they say, "Oh yeah, I think I have him on some record." He's kind of known as a vocal accompanist in a way, which he was one of the finest for
Mm.
sure. I mean, Carmen loved him, Billy
Yes.
loved him, Ella loved him, all of the great singers,
Mm.
Peggy Lee, Sarah Vaughan, they all adored Jimmy and wanted him to accompany them. But he was an incredible soloist as
Mm.
well.
Mhm.
I mean, just otherworldly for me that he's not ever playing licks. He's not ever playing anything that I would consider stock. He's a true improviser.
Hmm.
He's always coming up with interesting melodies. He's very spare, but at the same time very gutsy. Has a beautiful sound. I mean, all the things that I want, all the things that I want to do, and all the things that I want to hear. Jimmy Rolls is just he's a shining light for me. And I'm going to mention another pianist that people probably are not familiar with. His name is Cy Walter, and he was not really a jazz player. He considered himself, the term he used was he's a show tune specialist. And he made these recordings, which I'm going to have to share some of these with you now that I'm telling you about him. He would just make arrangements of standards that were maybe, I don't know, 2, 3, maybe 4 choruses, and that was it. Not so much improvising, but they were beautiful, beautiful arrangements and very layered. He had this incredible way of um, surrounding the melody with the most beautiful orchestrated things on the piano. And I know a lot of it was worked out, of course, but he made it sound very spontaneous and very
Mm.
much in the moment. And his understanding of the melody and what to do with it was beyond compare. And his rhythm was so riveting to me.
Hmm.
And sound and rhythm just beautiful. And there's some recordings of him available. But a few years ago, I actually befriended his son, who gave me a whole ton of radio broadcasts and all kinds of stuff. So I got a real peek into the Cy Walter world. But there is a website. I think it's just cywalter.com.
Okay. And
And
he's a Psy with a C or a Psy with an S?
no, CY,
Okay. Great.
Cy Walter.
Thank you for
And
that.
yeah, so those are 2 guys who had a massive impact on me, and also Ellis Larkins,
Mm.
another great accompanist who was a fabulous soloist. And I mean, then the list of people that would be more familiar: Bud Powell, Ahmad Jamal,
Mm.
Teddy Wilson, Nat King Cole, of
Hmm.
course.
Right.
You know, I mean, those Tatum. I love to listen to Tatum.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, many others. I love Herbie Hancock too,
Okay.
and yeah, that's probably the most modern guy I listen to.
Great. I want to roll. We're going to roll a clip of you playing, and then we'll talk a little bit. This is a clip from your most recent album, track
Mhm.
from a beautiful album called "In This Moment," which features your trio with my brother from another mother, Greg Ruggiero, on guitar, and Neil Miner on bass. I've chosen to play a little bit of "I Won't Dance," so we'll talk about it.
I
Let's
I have a story about that
Oh,
after you play it.
fantastic. Great. All right, let's hear a little bit of that now. Oh, so good.
Thank you, Gab.
Before we chat, I want to give a say hi and thank you to Lucia Spina for kicking off our donations this evening. Thanks, lady.
Woohoo!
If you are
Yes.
able to, whatever, $5, don't be shy and don't feel like, oh, I don't have enough. No donation is too small and no donation too big. As we can share with the Smalls Live Foundation. I don't know if you want to say a few words about them, Michael, but you have a real connection to those clubs. So
Absolutely. Well, I mean, as a musician, I feel like I grew up in Smalls. I mean, I started going there from really right from when they first opened, which I think was in the mid '90s, and it was everything that is right about a jazz club. It was, first of all, it was affordable, and there was always great players, always a wide variety of players, informal, and yet somehow a concert etiquette would always prevail somehow. But not an uptight thing. I mean, people would yell and cheer on the music, intimate, but it just always felt to me like kind of a holy place. And so I've heard so much music there that had a huge impact on me, and I got to play there many, many, many times. And then when Mesro opened, which, geez, I'm not even, maybe about 6 years ago now.
That sounds about right. I'm not sure either when exactly when they opened.
I mean, that's my home. I want there to be a little cot in the back for me. I just want to live in Mesro. It's a place really designed for piano music. They have a gorgeous instrument. The acoustics are great, and the room works best when the band is not too loud. So the connection that I could feel with an audience when I was playing there is just, it's out of this world. The most beautiful feeling. People like being really close, right next to you. I saw Bill Charlap playing their solo, and I sat right on the banquette right next to the piano. And the whole show, he kept leaning over and like giving me a play-by-play, like, okay, I'm going to play Charlie Parker's solo now on this tune, and he, just kind of telling me what was going on. So that kind of thing, like you could be so close to the music with not a big sound system. It was really, there's a kind of purity in that place and a kind of elegance too. So now I'll give a shout out to Spike Wilner and his whole staff, and also Mitch Borden, who started Smalls and worked there for many years. They're patron saints of jazz.
They are.
And to tie this back into the recording, In This Moment was recorded in performance at Mesro.
Right. Okay.
And
You have 2 albums recorded live at Mesro, right?
both recorded at Mesro.
Okay.
And In This Moment was actually recorded first, but it was released after.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. There was sort of a technical issue with that recording that we had to do it again, and we did. But Neil Miner actually was the recording engineer on that one, on In This Moment. And for me, it's the most perfect piano sound. It's what I've been going for years, and he captured it.
Oh,
And
wow.
just a blend of the band. We had a great audience that night, and the music, just one of those nights where everything fell into place, and we were lucky enough to catch a recording of it.
So I chose that. Hello, Katie Collins, by the way.
Hi, Katie.
I chose that clip because, well, it wasn't. I love that song. Basically, any clip that I could have chosen would have been a great example of your beautiful touch at the piano. That was the easy part.
Okay.
There were no shortage of choices there. And I heard somebody at Birdland asking you about this when we were filming just the other day, about commenting that you have such a beautiful touch at the piano.
Thank you.
And so I wanted to ask you to talk about how you developed that touch.
I have 2 words for you. Sophia Rosoff.
Okay, great. Go
Sophia
on.
Rosoff was she died in 2017 at, if I'm remembering right, age 94.
Okay.
And I started studying with her in the year 2000, but she is beloved by students all over the world. I mean, I know one pianist in Barcelona, well, at the time, I think he was living in Barcelona, who commuted, I think once a month to come and see Sophia.
Wait.
I mean, he commuted from Barcelona to New York once a month to take a lesson with Sophia.
Wow.
I mean, that's the sort of impact she had. I'm lucky that she was right here in New York, and my friend Ethan Iverson recommended her to me because I was having horrible tendinitis problems for many years. It was a chronic problem that was going on for at least 20 years.
Wow.
And I went to everyone you could think of: teachers, doctors, performing arts clinics, acupuncturists, acupressure, massage therapy. Nobody was able to help. Literally not a single person. Sometimes people were able to help the symptoms to abate, but never found the root cause. So I would continue to re-injure myself. And literally in the first lesson, well, I walked into her place, my knees knocking because I didn't have any classical background. And she is primarily a classical teacher. And I walked in, I still remember this moment like it was yesterday. I had a short sleeve shirt on. I walked into her apartment, and her greeting to me, the first thing she said to me was, "It's worse on the left side, isn't it?"
What?
Well, okay. And of course she was right.
Amazing.
And in that first lesson, she knew exactly what I was doing wrong.
Oh, wow.
And she walked over to me. I'm kind of tearing up as I'm thinking about it. She asked me to play, and she said, "All right, keep playing." And she came over and just gently moved my elbow while I was playing. And she said, "Oh, my goodness, you're hanging on for dear life." Like she could just feel the tension in my arm. And, I started weeping, yes, somebody understands.
Yeah.
And in that first lesson, she gave me all of the tools that I needed to solve that problem in one lesson. Then, of course, it took many years to to really absorb it,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
to understand all the details, and to make that my natural approach to playing. But she changed my sound. She changed my physical relationship with the instrument from top to bottom.
Wow.
And then, as if that wasn't enough, she opened up my ears. She made me think about rhythm in a totally different way that I had never thought about. She helped me to understand things about jazz that no jazz teacher had helped me with, even
Wow.
though she knew nothing about the nuts and bolts of jazz. But she just understood music on
Mm.
such a deep, fundamental level, what it takes to, to make an emotional statement on an instrument.
Mm.
And she was, it was, the process was so clear to her that she could explain things with very little analogies. She would just, when I was trying to learn how to readjust my technique, she would say, okay, well, move your arm like this. And I would move my arm like that. And she'd say, well, how does that feel? I said, feels great. And she'd say, okay, do that. I mean, other teachers were like, okay, your arm is like a fork, and
Right.
you're dipping into a pool of water with your elbows. And I mean, in retrospect, I
Mm.
understand what they were talking about now. But when I was struggling to come to terms with it, with this whole approach to playing the piano, um, and it didn't make sense to me. And from the very beginning, Sophia, everything she said, it was like it went
Mm-hmm.
straight in here, and it went straight in here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was, yeah, she knew how to express the whole process. So
Wow.
my sound really comes from her.
Hmm. That's very, very beautiful. I'm pausing to thank Jillian and Marianne for sending in donations. Thank you, ladies. We are very, very grateful, and we hope that everybody else watching, you can share a little something with us so that we can support the Smalls Live Foundation. I know that we had talked about this. You told me that that you really like to ask other players what their process is for learning a standard. So I
Mm-hmm.
had to turn the tables on you and ask you to do the same. We're going to roll a little clip just so people can hear some more beautiful music. This is another track from that same album, In This Moment. A little bit of you playing the great Gershwin standard, But Not For Me. Julie, I have to say, Julie, before the show started, Julie, as you know, my producer and the tech director was commenting on how much she enjoyed listening to your music while she put the clips together.
Oh, oh, that's so nice to hear.
So
Thank you.
beautiful. So Katie Collins, thank you. Roz Carell, thank you so much. They are sharing donations, and we are
Oh,
so grateful. And we have some
hey.
beautiful comments from people. Oh, look at Natalie Douglas is watching. Gorgeous playing, Michael, as always.
Thank you,
Um,
Natalie.
Lucia Spina says those two chords leading into the chorus with 3 exclamation points. Beautiful. Joyce
Thank you for that.
now calling it philosophical. And
Oh,
Jillian, bittersweet and truly beautiful. You are loved, Michael Kanan.
thank you, Gabrielle, and thank you for all of those beautiful comments. Now I just have to live up to them. Do my best.
I know. Now you have to manage expectations. You're welcome.
That should be no problem.
So tell us. I know you've got a great answer for this. What is your process for learning a standard?
Well, it's pretty simple. It's pretty horsey and ducky. Learn the melody.
Yeah, but that's
Learn
not
the melody.
something
Of course,
everybody does.
exactly. And I've been in the when I have an opportunity to teach, I really stress it. And of course, I think that I overstress learning the melody because I think jazz education in general, because it's such a funny word, jazz education, um, it's flipped over where harmony is the most important thing now, and that's what everybody studies.
Right.
And I think it's gone too far in that direction. That harmony, it's not a thing that exists by itself to me. Harmony exists to support a melody. And it's become this thing of, well, yeah, I want to learn chords. I just want to learn chords. That's what I get this from students. When I ask students, what's the first thing you think about? They all say, I learned the changes. Well, the changes come from the melody. And I know that older generations of musicians, and I've heard this in more than one place, musicians used to learn standards or just learn songs from the top down, not from the bottom up. The melody is not the last thing that you put on top of your sandcastle. The melody is it's the heart, it's the wellspring for everything that follows. So for me, my process of learning a tune is, as you know, I'm a nut for sheet music. So I always try to get the sheet music. And I learn the melody first before maybe I'll just kind of play through it to see just so I can have something in my ear for the harmony. But it starts with, yay for the melody. Yes, Natalie. But I start with learning the melody, and I won't do anything else to the song until I've memorized the melody, until I can sing the words and can do it by memory. So it might take me a few days, to the point where, okay, I'll just be singing the tune while I'm doing the dishes, singing the tune while I'm on the subway, sing the tune. I'll just pace around in my rehearsal studio and just sing it over and over again until I feel like the melody is imprinted on me. And then start to see what the composer had in mind for the harmony. And I don't feel limited to just that, but it's a good starting place. So I'll read through not the chord changes, but the actual written score. That's where all the harmonic information is.
Okay.
And the fact that, well, the chord changes in sheet music early on were added for ukulele, and then possibly for banjo, and later for guitar. And I think that that was just assuming that someone was going to strum along with the pianist.
Mm-hmm.
So the chord changes there were not, they were not put there the same, with the same mentality that we have in lead sheets today, where all the information is in the chord changes. By no means is it. So I'll read through the piano part, and what anyone who's dealt with sheet music, what they can tell you is that the two big elements are bass lines. Besides writing hit melodies that people can remember and that would sing as they were leaving the theater. So there's the melody, a great bass line, and chord inversions. Simple chord inversions, not fancy stuff at all. I mean, when we're talking about Gershwin and Harold Arlen, maybe you'll see a flat 9 or a sharp 9. And that's about it. So they weren't really dealing with fancy tensions on top of the chord and all that. It was just the simplest elements. And what they were able to do with those elements are absolutely incredible. And many times that is the best fit for the melody. But again, the melody has to come first. And their accompaniment fits the melody just beautifully. So that's what I'm thinking about. And even when I'm improvising now, it's gotten to the point where I just think about the melody. And whenever I feel a lack of inspiration in the moment, I'll just grab a bit of the melody, and that propels me forward again. So that's it.
You have segued very nicely into, I did want to also ask you about how you approach soloing, because we had this conversation recently where I was saying, I assumed, when I asked you, you were going to say like, it's all about playing over the changes and chord scales. And your answer surprised me that you look to the melody. Julie, I'm skipping. Somebody, Fraser is saying yes.
That's my buddy. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you, brother. Fraser's a fantastic pianist who lives in Edinburgh.
Oh, fantastic.
He's like my younger brother.
Oh, thank you for watching, sir. Yay. So Julie, I am skipping around a little bit. But I'm going to ask Julie to roll a clip. I wanted people to hear you soloing over playing the melody and then soloing on My Ideal. So let's hear a little bit about that, a little bit of that now, and then we'll talk a little bit more about soloing.
Okay. Mm.
Ooh, beautiful,
I
beautiful, beautiful.
love those guys. Just seeing them on the video makes me happy.
Yeah. I want to give thanks to Ari Silverstein, who sent in a donation writing, "Hooray for melodious Michael Kanan."
Thank you,
and,
Ari.
and also, yeah, Christoph Pingel. I'm sorry, I'm Christoph. I'm mispronouncing your last name, but thank you very much for your donation. We've got people
Hey.
tuning in from Chile. We're very international here.
Right.
And Mrs. Spina, hey, out there in Chicago. So I don't know if there's anything else you want to. Oh, Stephen Keogh's watching. If there,
Yay.
thank you for your donation, Stephen. You're so kind. You guys watching out there you may recognize Stephen's name. He runs the Global Music Foundation, which I have mentioned on this show several times, which puts on beautiful Michael. I've seen Michael in concert with them, and Michael and I have a concert coming up later this month. So we'll be
Can't
hearing
wait.
you plug that again. Is there, anything? Joyce Glasgow, what a beautiful comment about Michael's performance. Joyce wrote, "So thoughtful, like singing the notes."
Oh,
That
thank
is
you.
what it
Yeah,
sounds.
well, that's the goal. Uh,
Yeah.
I don't feel like I always hit it, but that is the goal. Is
Hmm.
I want the piano. I'm not a singer, but I want the piano to be my voice.
Hmm.
And I mean, I'm still very much working on phrasing. Uh, I have a long way to go. But the thing that I'm really trying to keep in mind is that the silences between phrases are just as important as the notes being played.
Mhm.
And that's the moment when I really hear the band, when I hear the people I'm playing with. I like to play something and then hear those bass notes or hear those guitar chords.
Hmm.
I want them to be just as much a part of my solo
Hmm.
as my own improvising. Um, so yeah, I want it to be a vocal thing. I mean, I guess that's why I relate to singers so much. It's I'm just thinking in those terms.
Um, I don't know if this is a dumb question or not, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. A pianist who we both know, sort of, who is on his journey. We were actually in Mesro, maybe to see you. But he said to me, he asked me what I want in an intro. What do I want the pianist to do as an intro? And I felt really, no one had ever asked me that before. And I felt so inept because I was like, I didn't know how to answer that. Other than like get me in the key, I didn't know what to say. And I said to him, I said, I think you need to ask Michael Kanan that question. I don't know. I'm not sure what to tell you. So I wanted to ask you. It's such a small thing, but
No, this is not. This is a huge thing.
okay.
Actually, it
Uh,
is a huge thing.
Great.
That's something I've given a lot of thought to. And it's a great question. What should you do in an intro? Well, I mean, the technical things are you're establishing the time, you're establishing the key,
Mhm.
and hopefully, you're not only establishing the key, but if necessary, you might need to make that first note of the melody very available
Mhm.
and not in an obvious way, but you want to maybe lead up to it. So those are technical things that are important. But on the other hand, you're also setting the mood.
Hmm.
You can't, if it's a tender, sweet ballad, you don't want to hit with something dark and heavy and dense. Um, and so you have to have some sense of where the singer might be going. And I mean, I know you're singing very well, Gabrielle, and I feel like I can. All right, we've played the song before, so I have a sense of how your interpretation might go.
Mhm.
And that's the main thing. I mean, I know that you have fantastic ears. You'll be able to pull the key out of almost anything, but I want to set the mood up properly. That's the main thing.
Hmm. And Ari Silverstein made a great comment. Don't forget the verse. And I know you're so great about learning, verses. That's another thing that you like to do.
I love it. I love not all of them, of course. Some of them just aren't that great. But there are many, many standards with incredible verses. I feel maybe closest to Gershwin's verses.
Yeah.
And my own personal theory, I mean, my friends will know this. I personally, and this is not like anything that I read or studied, it's just an observation. I think that Gershwin was his most harmonically daring in the verses. Like that was his play zone. And then when the tune starts, that's for the people. It's like the verse was for him, the tune was for the people.
Okay.
So, they're maybe not going to remember the verse, so he can really play around with the chord voicings and have a lot of movement and all kinds of stuff. That's why, when people, I'm sure you've had this experience, you sing a verse to a well-known song and people don't know it. And then as soon as they hear "It's Not the Pale Moon"
Right.
or whatever standard, then the people go, "Oh, she's doing it. Oh, I love this one." That's the moment of recognition.
Yeah.
So I think I don't know. That's what I think about Gershwin, and maybe some others as well. That they could be a little freer in the verses. And for Gershwin, I mean, the harmony in some of his verses is ridiculous. They're just masterpieces.
I'm going to pause for the cause for a moment and just remind people that we are accepting donations tonight via Venmo and PayPal. Right, all week. If you watch this after the live broadcast, we collect donations for our charities all week until the following Tuesday. We get that together and then we send it off with great joy that we are supporting all these great causes. The addresses for Venmo, my handle, and then the PayPal address is here. And Julie's been putting that in the comments as well. So if you're trying to find where to send your Venmo and PayPal, it's in the comments section and also right up here on screen. And we thank you very much in advance.
Deb, I'm going to interrupt because I just want, maybe you mentioned this already, but it's worth underscoring that we're supporting Smalls Live tonight, the Smalls Live Foundation. And they are still producing streaming concerts with no audience. Spike Wilner, the owner of Smalls, has named this series "Keep the Cats Working," and it just shows his dedication for trying to help musicians to provide a little bit of income and to keep live music alive, keep it happening, and it's there every day, every single day on Smalls live feed. So just go to smalls.com. And it's a very beautiful and worthy cause. I'm so happy to be part of that.
Thank you. And we just got a very generous donation from Stephen. Steve, I don't know how to. I'm usually good with last names. Steve Siek, S-I-E-C-K. I apologize for massacring your last name, but I thank you very much for your very generous donation. Thank you so much. You know what? Real quick, I want to move on. But Ari had written in the comments asking you to give an example of the Gershwin tune you feel most signifies that. I would like the deep harmony in the verses. I think the verse to "Soon," which we've been playing recently,
absolutely
right.
That's a great one. I mean, that verse reminds me of absolutely of Chopin, and so that's a favorite. Also, the verse to "Love Walked In"
Mm-hmm.
is phenomenal. I mean, the melody is very simple, but if you look through the sheet music, the way the chords move beneath this very simple singable melody in the verse, it's incredible,
Wow.
really incredible. So that one is a favorite, but not for me. I mean, those descending triads in the verse, it's gorgeous.
Hmm.
This is gorgeous stuff that many jazz musicians don't think about.
Hmm. Thank you
So
for
it's, yeah.
great. All right, and we're going to switch gears a little bit. Oh, somebody is writing. Sorry, the verse to Natalie. The verse to "How Long Has This Been Going On?" That is. I know.
Also a great one.
So many,
There's
so
so
many beautiful verses. You played with the great jazz vocalist Jimmy Scott. We have a picture of him,
Yes.
I think, for about 4 years. I love that.
Oh, oh,
So
my heart!
I'm,
Just seeing his face.
yeah.
Very beautiful.
I just I want to roll a little bit. I found this clip that I fell in love with. A clip from a concert that you did with him in 2000 in Tokyo.
Okay.
And so we're gonna oh, Steve Seek. Great. He just wrote in the comments, rhymes with freak. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Steve Seek. We're going to roll a little bit of a clip of Jimmy Scott, accompanied by Michael Kanan, singing All of Me. Let's hear a little bit of that now.
Take my lips, I'll never use them. Take my arms, I'll not refuse them. Your goodbye left me with eyes that cry. How can I go on, dear, without you? You took the part that once was my heart. Why not take all of me?
Yay, sorry.
Oof,
Yeah.
incredible.
Ah,
Incredible.
I was so excited to find that because Katie Collins. Oh, she wrote, "Oh my heart." Jimmy was the
Yes.
best.
Yeah.
You made beautiful music together. Indeed, you did. I was so excited to find that clip because, everybody associates him with these very, just like they do with Shirley Horn, these super
Surely.
slow
Yeah.
tempos. And then, so I was thrilled to find this
Yeah.
because I know that you would say that, I think you would say that Jimmy was a rhythmic singer, that he was a very rhythmic
Oh
singer, even
man,
when
one of the most,
doing those slow tempos.
yeah, one of the most swinging. I'm not going to say singers. I'm going to say one of the most swinging
Yeah,
musicians
yeah.
in the history of this music. I mean, God, what a sense of time,
Mm-hmm.
and the musicians of his generation, that they have it in their blood and in their bones.
Hmm.
I mean, you could tell him not to, you could tell him not to swing, and he wouldn't know what you mean.
um,
I mean, you hear it in that clip.
yes.
And I saw Jimmy singing in a lot of settings. I've seen him with other pianists, and he could he could pull a big band behind him. He could. I mean, if a pianist was busy or was weak, whatever it was, he could make the music happen all
Hmm.
by himself. He was like a beacon of joy and love, just just streaming out of him.
Yeah.
And I mean, incredible. I just wish that I could go back in time and uh, play with him, knowing what I know now.
Hmm.
I was still pretty green at the time. This was, I started with him in the mid '90s, I think around '96, and I did my best, but I had so much to learn, and he deserved a lot more than that, a lot more than what I could give him. But he always gave people a chance, and I learned so much. Uh, being in his presence was incredible. I'll
What
tell
did
you
you
one
learn?
musical.
Yeah, tell me what you
Yeah,
learned from him.
well, with him, and I don't know if it's so evident in that clip, uh, especially in the ballads, it was crucial. He would always say, "Don't go with me," because he would not only
Mm,
lay back on the beat, but he would back phrase
sure.
to the point where sometimes you just weren't sure if he was going to make it. And he always did.
Uh-huh.
I mean, somehow he would find a way to get back to where the band was, and suddenly the whole room would feel like it was spinning around. But the way that I approached comping for him was, it was almost like I was comping for the melody, not for Jimmy. Like I
Hmm.
was hearing the melody in my head,
Mhm.
and just comping as if the melody was there,
Oh, wow.
and just let Jimmy do his thing. Don't ever try to box him into anything. Um, just let him do his thing, because it was so unique and unpredictable and beautiful.
Hmm.
So, and that arranger on the clip that you played, Masaru Uchibori, is a fantastic arranger. I think he still lives in Tokyo. He told me that he figured out how to write for Jimmy by listening to how I comped.
Oh, wow.
So he took the same approach, like just a little background. You don't have to do much.
Uh-huh. Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. I mean, you guys, aren't you loving this conversation? Come on. Um,
I am.
thank you.
I
Um,
love getting to talk
hey,
with
we're
you.
getting heart emojis.
Yeah.
If you love what you're hearing and you've already donated, we thank you so much. If you haven't yet and you are able to, We thank you. And you can send those donations in to Venmo and PayPal. Links are in the comments section so that we can share. There they are, and the links are on screen right now, so we can share with the Smalls Live Foundation. As Steve Seek said, support Spike and all the beautiful work he does for this community.
Yes, indeed.
So you have worked with another legendary vocalist, Jane Monheit. I know, I pulled that picture. So just a beautiful picture of the two of you.
Yeah.
For many years, you know, you're known as a bit of a vocalist whisperer. I think we have a clip of you and Jane playing together. Julie, could we roll that right now? Can we? I think we've got a clip of the two of them.
Weird. What? How strange is that?
What?
Hi, Michael.
It's amazing. The clip is talking to me as if somehow she planned this out. Janie.
Very, very much. How are you?
Even better now. Wow, these two incredible singers in one place.
You're very kind.
So great to see you.
You too.
God, I miss you, Janie.
Oh my God, I miss you too. I almost texted you this morning, just like, okay, this is terrible. Like, I need my friend. Like, literally this morning, I almost texted you. Yeah. But yeah, it's so wonderful to see your faces, and what a beautiful interview, you guys. This has been fascinating.
Thank you. You are the best. Oh, Ari Silverstein just wrote Zoom bomb. The Zoom bomb of everyone's dreams for Jane Monheit to come in. And Natalie Douglas is here. Yay.
Yay.
So
you know, I often sometimes when I was doing a solo gig, I would text Jane and I would say, "Man, you sounded great tonight," because in my head she's playing, and I'm trying to emulate her melody while I'm playing solo.
You're gonna make me cry.
So I asked Jane to join us to just talk a little bit about her work with you, because you guys, how many years have you played together?
Over 20.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That is a musical marriage, you know, that is a real, wow, that is incredible. So go ahead.
What I was just going to say, the thing for me personally that's so incredible about that is, I think you'll agree with me, Jane, but it's gotten better over those years. It's not like we found the thing and that's just what we do. I feel like it's still, our musical connection is still evolving, especially with our duo shows. So it's something I'm forever grateful for. And I've learned so much about comping from Jane, from our conversations and just from being on stage with her.
Can you elaborate on what have you learned about comping from working with her?
Well, one of the main things, of course, is rubato playing, and that Jane was the first one to make it clear to me. And this seems like such an obvious thing, but it wasn't to me at the time when she first said this. And I still remember it was at a workshop in Idaho. You remember this, Jane, when you did this? I'm pretty sure that's where it was. But someone was asking about that, and you said, well, in rubato singing, the singer sets the tempo. In tempo, if you're doing a swing tune, a swing tempo, then the pianist is going to just follow that tempo, and the singer will go wherever he or she wants to. But that was such a key piece of information that I have to be able to anticipate if that's necessary, or I have to be able to lay back if that's necessary. But I have to find your tempo. And of course, rubato does not mean no tempo. It means flexible tempo.
Yeah.
So I'm always looking for your tempo. And Jane is very challenging to play with because she can encompass a lot of tempo changes, even sometimes within a phrase.
Yeah.
So I have to be really on my toes, and
It's
in the greatest way. I mean, I'd say challenging, but it's about my favorite thing in the world.
Mine too, because it feels like a crazy psychic link at this point. It feels like something we don't even really have to put thought into. We can just kind of link into it and it happens. And it's amazing. It's crazy. Like, if the world never goes back to normal and we have to find out a way, like, I'm sure if we had to record a whole rubato duo record on different continents, we could do it. You know what I mean? I just know we have this thing, and I think it's because we built it together over so many years. You know, that's how it is.
I think that's true.
You know,
and one of the other things that I think Jane is a great example of is making rubato singing sound like speech. Finding the tempo through the way that you would speak something.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, young singers will often just really, they equate rubato with singing slowly.
Okay.
And that's not, I mean, as you know, Gabrielle, I mean, you're both incredible singers. But that's something that in workshops, Jane and I have always had to address with many, many young singers. Like, you don't have to sing that slowly. You don't have to wait.
Yeah.
Go back to and just speak the lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something I talk about in voice lessons almost daily still, you know what I mean? But absolutely that ability to be really, really conversational. I mean, I talk quickly when I speak normally. You know what I mean? So when I'm not singing, I tend to speak very quickly. So in a rubato section, I tend to move some phrases along. I really do. And the fact that you can be exactly right with me, it's crazy. Syllable, it's nuts what we do.
Well, I've never said this to you. I've said it to many other people, but I've never actually said this to you, and I'm going to take this very public opportunity to say it. Thank you for hanging in there with me in the early years when I was really trying to get that shit together.
Oh my God.
Because in the beginning, I did not have it together at all. And Jane, kept me in the band while I was figuring it out.
Oh my God, you've been the treasure of my life. Are you kidding? I don't ever want to imagine a note of music of my life without you in it. I don't ever. I wouldn't remotely be the kind of singer I am if it weren't for the massive influence you had on me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I mean, that's enormous.
Well, the feeling is totally mutual, as you know. I mean, you've affected how I play instrumental music.
Oh, I love you, Mikey.
When you first got together, because I think Jane, somebody recommended Michael to you?
We were set up on a blind by Joel Fromm and Joe Martin.
Oh, okay.
Two of the greatest, musicians in New York. And we were both very close with those two guys. And they'd been telling us both for ages, like, you two, oh my God, it's going to be insane. You got to do this. And then finally I had a gig I didn't have a pianist for. It was at the Red Eye Grill. I was in college.
Oh, wow.
The Red Eye Grill on that balcony, back when there used to be a balcony with like a player piano on it. And we played about 3 notes of I Got It Bad, and that was it. That was it for life.
Yep.
What was it? What was it in that moment that you knew? Can you articulate it?
Yep. Well, I can. From my point of view, immediately it was the sound. Like, I had just never heard that purity and beauty of sound. I mean, it was incredible. It just got right into my heart immediately. Like, just like Jane said, and she's not exaggerating. It was like 3 notes.
Yeah.
And I was so stunned. I didn't know her. I had never heard anything of her. And I think at that point, not many people had. I mean, if she was still doing restaurant gigs. But I so related to that sound and just wanted to be part of it.
Well, I don't think I'd ever met anyone who played the piano like you at that time, because I was in Manhattan School of Music and I knew a lot of really wonderful musicians there, but we were all very young. And what very young musicians tend to do is play every single note we know all in one bar. And, you know, it's like I was still singing like that at the time. I think probably the accompanists I was working with were not, I don't think it was the same kind of level, you know, that, I mean, obviously, like you had a lot of years on them too and a lot of maturity and had been working already. You were already working with Jimmy Scott at that time.
That's right. That's
But
right.
I mean, so I showed up and I was this kid that, you know, you saw this potential in, and I found somebody who could actually like, who wouldn't walk all over me, who would treat me with care and teach me a thing or two. You know, and it was just like a match made in heaven. I'm getting choked up, sorry.
Oh, I love it. You know, that was something I wanted to ask you, Michael, because I think, Jane, you will agree that there are many instrumentalists who do not, you know, really put singers down and don't want to work with vocalists. And so I am curious to know why. I mean, is it the melody thing, Michael? Why? I asked Pat this question. You know, why do you like working with vocalists? And he said, you get to play a lot of tunes in a lot of weird keys.
Mhm.
You know,
Well,
I mean, like it's a beautiful thing. Tunes, keys you'd never play if it were just instrumentalists, and tunes that you might not ever play.
Well, I've said probably to every pianist who's ever come for a lesson, playing with a singer, and not just pianists, but any instrument, playing with a singer is the best training you could possibly have. Because you learn, as you said, you learn transposing, which is crucial to anybody's musical development. You learn repertoire. You learn about sound. You learn about blending your sound rather than just spraying your jazz information all over the place. It's about blending a sound, and you also learn about putting your ego on hold, which is an important thing. Even if you want to be a soloist, it can't be about ego. It can't be about look how great I am. If it's going to be really worthwhile music, it has to come from something deeper than that. So playing with a singer, you know, a pianist really has to be willing to put everything aside. I've said to pianists, when you're starting out, if you know, thinking about accompanying, think about this ratio: 100% for the singer and 0 for you. Now, of course, that's extreme. You know, that's an oversimplification, overstated. But it's just to get people to think. Some pianists need to hear that, so that they don't think that they have to shine every moment. Just be part of the sound. And that is, in fact, how you will shine and sound incredible, is by being part of the sound.
Yes.
Amazing. I know, Michael, that you do have something else tonight. So I think, Jane, if there's anything else you want to offer about Michael Kanan, about this beautiful man who we are blessed to know and work with. It's true. Tessa Suter. Oh, she's saying nice things.
Oh, lovely.
Thank you for watching, Tessa.
Hi.
Oh, lovely. Yay. So Jane, I cannot thank you. We sprang this on her, but I had really wanted to surprise you with this.
It was the best
Mission accomplished.
Yay.
Amazing. I haven't seen Jane's face in
since
months.
Oh my God.
Wow.
I know, since March. It's awful. I'm like, I regularly cry because we have no gigs. Like I regularly cry because I'm just like, oh my God, I miss it so bad. I don't know what to do anymore, you know? So hopefully soon we'll all be back together. You know?
I would actually love to have you back on, because you just made me think about the fact that like the duo relationship, you know, about how incredible it is, but how challenging it is to play duo with somebody. I didn't realize it until I had to do it. But I don't want to keep you, Michael. It's 20 after. I know we have to wrap soon.
All good. All good.
We will have to
Not a rush.
have you guys back on
That's
to
awesome.
to talk about the whole duo thing, but that like could be its own entire episode.
Yeah.
For sure.
Right?
For sure.
How to navigate that. And I know that you guys have a special thing together. So Julie is going to take you back into the green room. I'm gonna say a few thank yous and let the good people know what's coming up. But I thank you, Michael Kanan and Jane Monheit, so
Hey,
much.
thank you so much, Gabrielle. This has just absolutely been a joy, and thank you for this most incredible surprise.
Oh,
And I love you both madly.
we
So,
love you. we love you. Roz Corral, thank you. Roz is saying, I have loved every minute of this interview. We love you, Roz.
yay.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. So I'll meet you guys in the green room in 2 minutes and we'll have a last goodbye. Thank you again for being here, both of you. Jane Monheit.
Thank you, Gabrielle. Thank you, Jane.
Thank you, guys. Oh man, how fun! You guys have been such. I'm loving all the comments. I want to thank Ken and Jessica for sending in donations. We really, really appreciate that. Anybody else wants to send that in? Like I said, we collect all week, so you can send in donations for us to share with the Smalls Live Foundation via Venmo at Gabrielle-Stravelli. Or on did I say Venmo? Have lost track. On PayPal, paypal.me/Gabrielle Stravelli. If you want to keep tabs on Michael, I know that a lot of you are connected with him on Facebook. He does have a website where you can see some of his other albums. And his website is michaelkanan.com. I didn't have time to play one of his original tunes. And he has many wonderful albums as a leader and with other instrumentalists. So do check him out at michaelkanan.com. And you can, thank you for joining us. Support this show, please, by sharing it on Facebook, following Gabrielle Stravelli Music on Facebook, and also subscribing on YouTube at Gabrielle Stravelli Music. So what a great way to wrap up season 1 of the early set. We're going to take 2 weeks off and then we will be back with season 2. We've got lots of goodies in store for you. Great guests. So I'm so excited to pick their brains. I'm really loving these interviews where I get to squeeze all this good information out of all these smart people that I'm very lucky to know. So we thank you again. I want to thank Jim Caruso and the staff at Birdland for supporting us. I want to thank our content moderator, Robin Clark, and of course, huge thanks to my technical director and producer, Julie Garnier, for making everything happen. I think that's everything I was supposed to tell you. So we're back on September 23rd. You'll be hearing from me in the meantime. Don't you worry. But have a good couple of weeks in the meantime, you guys. Stay safe. I know you're all wearing your masks. Enjoy, and we'll see you soon. Thanks again to Michael Kanan and Jane Monheit. Good night, everybody. Bye.